Adrian from Pace Cycles. I thought I'd like to introduce you to a concept that we have realised here on a Pace 529. But first you might think actually this idea is a little bit odd. In actual fact it doesn't make the machine look too much different, but there is something significantly different on this bike from the standard 529. We're not the first company to promote this concept, but it is something we've thought through and evaluated its benefits. This idea actually can now be fully realised because of the availability of components that weren't widely available only a few years ago, and we think it can offer a performance advantage, and we could even see this becoming a whole new standard in mountain biking. So of course a 529 is a 29er, however Pace were the first company to ever actually design a bike built specifically around a 2.6 inch tyre, and that created the RC 127 Plus. So what we've done with this machine is we've actually looked at the existing geometry of the bike and taken into account the benefits of running a 29 wheel, and we all know those well-worn arguments for 29ers now, that you've got better rollover, you've got better maintenance of momentum, and you've got very good stability, and you've got very good control created by 29 tyres, as opposed to 27.5. They're a little bit livelier. However, with the advent of the 27.5 inch plus type design, we could see a benefit of actually mixing the two together. And bear with me on this before you actually turn off of the new, well that's just far too quirky for me. But let's just think it through a little bit more. If we actually use a 29 wheel on the front of the machine, that gives you great rollover, fantastic control of the front end, good stability and maintain, good control over the front of the bike. So on 529 here, we've got a 29 inch front wheel. We put a different fork on with a different type of offset to actually benefit that design. However, moving to the rear, we've actually put into it a 27.5 inch plus wheel. This frame actually is designed for 29 specifically, but there's sufficient clearance to take a full 2.8 inch tyre into the back of this bike. Now in doing that, we've actually changed the tyres of course, but also the section of the tyre. So the front tyre we've kept to a relatively narrow 2.35 section, which cuts through the mud and enhances that control on the front end of the bike. Whereas on the rear, we've actually put a 2.8 onto a wider rim. So a narrow tyre on the front, narrower rim, wider tyre on the back, wider rim. We can also then, because it's a plus tyre, dramatically reduce the tyre pressure, so we can be down to 15-18 psi, which gives you fantastic grip. So here we have then a machine that gives you great control at the front of the bike, but fantastic grip and drive at the rear. Because you're putting the power down through the rear wheel, so the rear wheel is actually doing a different job to what the front wheel is doing. So the rear wheel is digging in, providing as much traction and contact patch as it can. It's giving you some comfort on the hardtail as well, but what we're primarily doing here is looking at the two different jobs that the two different ends of the bike do and maximising what it can do with these new available wider rims, bigger volume tyres, better grip, better drive. So in actual fact you have a machine where the wheel size is now dedicated to the job that the wheels and the tyres that are doing. So what we've also done is, because we've actually lowered the back of the machine a little bit by putting a smaller diameter tyre in, we've actually put a 170 length crank arm onto this bike, so that helps to reduce pedal strike. But now you'll see a trend of 165 and even 160 crank lengths available, which gives you even more clearance at the tip of the crank. However, in having a shorter crank arm, we've increased the chainring size, so we've geared it up to counteract the fact that we've got a shorter crank arm there, as well as the fork and different wheels, different tyres. We've adjusted the transmission, so we've tried to gear the whole package of the bike around this concept rather than just sticking a 27.5 inch plus wheel in. We've tried to ensure that the tyre width, the rim width, the diameters, the gearing, crank length are all one package around this concept. And so what we're going to do is we're going to hand this bike to the media, to magazines, so they can test it. We can actually supply 29er wheels at the same time so they can run them back to back and just actually get a feel for the place in the market for this type of design, which we think really has got legs.
This boy's got my head tied in knots with all his games. I simply want him more because he looks the